Right. So today we are going to discuss about the neural anatomy, physiology as well as the histology of the nervous system. First of all, we should know that nervous system, or we can say what includes the histology as well as anatomy as well as the histology of the nervous system. In all of them, what we have to discuss? We have to discuss about the nervous system. We have to discuss about nervous system. Nervous system. So before going in detail about the nervous system, you should know what is nervous system. Yes, what is nervous system? It is related to nerves. Or you can say, thank God you don't say that nervous system is a system which is all the time nervous. Actually, nervous system, first of all, you have the very basic idea about the nervous system. In nervous system, you should know what includes. It includes CNS, central nervous system, as well as PNS, peripheral nervous system. So what does central nervous system do? Central nervous system actually include your what? Brain and spinal cord. It perceives the information, it collects the information from the environment or from the body, through all the body and from the environment. It collects the information and perceived. Okay, fine. It collects the information from the environment, either environment externally or internally. The pathway which it collects the information, which pathway this is? It is the sensory pathway. It is the sensory pathway, and this is the part of the peripheral nervous system. Actually, it perceives the information, collects the information from the environment and throughout the body, and then what? The information goes to the higher centers, and then it processes the information, integrating the information, compare and contrast the information with the recent or past information, and then according to that information it generates what? Motor responses. It generates motor response. Very basic concepts you must have, that the central nervous system perceives the information from the environment, from the body, and then it integrates or processing the information, compare and contrast the information with the recent and past information which is stored. Like you have the billions of the neurons and most of the memory stored in your higher centers, brain, and that information which is coming from the sensory pathways, from the external environment, from the internal environment, must be processed, integrate or compare and contrast with the recent or past information, and then according to that situation it generates the motor responses, motor pathway. So all of this we will not going to detail about CNS and PNS right now. We should discuss about the today major focus of our lecture is on the histology of the nervous system, and whenever we talk about the histology, we should concern with the tissues as well as cells. So we will go in detail about CNS and PNS in later lectures, but right now we should know about the nervous system. What nervous system does? Nervous system doing the major role in perceiving the information, integrating the information, processing the information, and then generate motor responses. Who responsible for this? What is the major component, or you can say the structural and functional unit? Structural and functional unit of nervous system. Yes. What? Brain? No, brain. Actually, nervous system. I am not talking about the CNS, and even though if CNS and PNS is concerned, what is the structural and function unit of nervous system is the, yes, of course it's cells, and there are major cells, many cells, or we can say this is, yes, this is neuron. This is neuron. Nervous system is the system, is the organ system. Nervous system is the system, it is the organ system. In organ system, you should know, organ system made up of, yes, organs, any organ system made up of what? Organs. Okay, fine. And the organs made up of? tissues. Same kind of tissues or different? Same kind of tissues making the organs. Actually, different kind of tissues can assemble to perform the similar function, and then we can say it is assembled in the organ. The basic hierarchy level which we have to discuss at the organ system, you know, organ system. Organ system, what we have? Organ system, nervous system. It is made up of, yes, what? Organ. And in organ of the nervous system, what should be there? Brain and spinal cord, isn't it? Organs are made up of, yes, tissues. Which tissues mainly present in the nervous system? Which tissue? Yes. How many kind of tissues we have? Yes, you should know. You are at bachelor levels and you don't know about the tissues. We have, yes, how many kind of tissues? 4. Connective tissues, epithelial tissues, yes, muscular tissue, and yes, oh okay, not cardiac, connective, epithelial, muscular, and epithelium, connective, muscular, and mostly you have, yes, I forget it. No, muscular has 3, epithelial, connective, and yes, of course, we are discussing about the nervous system. Then which tissue? Nervous tissue. You know, nervous, it's all the time nervous to people. Okay, fine, we have 4 kind of tissues. So, in the nervous system hierarchy, we have nervous tissues, and tissues are made up of, yes, cells. Same kind of cells or different? Different. It should be the same, it should be the different, structurally as well as functionally, but the one thing is major in the tissues, the origin of the cells are the same in the tissues. Like if you are discussing about this tissue, this particular tissue is made up of the many cells, isn't it? So, might be possible these cells structurally or functionally same and different, but the one thing is must be the same, and that is its, yes, origin. Like if this is a tissue and these are the constituent cells that making the tissues, so these tissues must be have the same origin, either ectodermal origin, either endodermal, or either mesodermal. These 3 origins you have. Okay, fine. Cells. So in nervous tissues there is cells. Do you think there is one kind of cells? No, because this is a tissue. So there are many kind of cells, and in nervous tissue, now this is the main topic which we are going to discuss right now, isn't it? Up to now what we have learned, we have just taking the very brief idea about the nervous system. What is nervous system? Nervous system perceiving the information and integrating, processing, and generate motor responses. And then how it works, we will see later. What are the parts, what are the constituents, what are the different mechanisms that receives the information and process the information. We have to concern about how the information, you can say, on which cells information must be carried towards the CNS and carried away from the CNS. So those are the structural and functional unit of the nervous system, and that is neuron. But in nervous tissue there is no only neuron, because neuron is only single kind of cells. So there must be the multiple kind of cells. You must know there are 4 major kind of cells we have in nervous tissues. Yes, one is the neuron. One is the neuron. Neurons, or you can say the nerve fiber, or you can say the nerve cell. Neuron, nerve fiber, or nerve cell. And then, okay, actually majorly we can divide cells of the nervous system into 2 major kinds. One neuron separated and the other group put together and called, yes, glial cells. We call it glial, neuroglial cells. But okay, neuroglial or neuroglial or you simply can say glial cells, or also we call it sporting cells. Sporting cells. Another cells are neurosecretory cells. Neurosecretory cells. And the last one is, yes, anyone has idea? Ependymal cells. Ependymal cells. We are not going into detail. Okay, I will briefly discussing about all of them, but major topic we will discuss on it, that is neuron, its structure, its classification, and its components. Put them together as a group. This is the separate. What should be the difference between them? Okay, not these one. Glial cells, major are the glial cells, sporting cells, and then there is a neuron. Actually, these are also the neurons. These are also not this. These are also neurons, but these are the classified as secretory because they secrete. You can say the hormones as well as or the neurotransmitters. Fine. What is the major difference between neurons and neuroglial cells? Yes, anyone? Major difference. Glial cells and neurons. You must be knowing about this. This is your topic as well. Yes. There are the many differences other than spellings, isn't it? Other than spellings. One difference, the major difference, neurons are conductive cells. Neurons are conductive. Conductive, what conduction? Neurons are excited cells. Neurons are excited cells. Throughout the kingdom Animalia, only how many kind of cells are excited? Yes. Throughout the kingdom Animalia, how many kinds of cells are excited? Yes. Only two. Only two kinds of. One is the neuron, other one muscle cells. Other one muscle cells. Okay, these are the excited cells, these are unexcited, or we can say the non-conductive cells. They don't conduct any nerve impulse. Non-conductive cells. They don't conduct any nerve impulse. And the one major more thing about them, neuron and the neuroglial cells, that neuroglial cells can be regenerate. They have that dividing potential. But the neurons don't any potential to divide. They cannot be non-dividing cells. They can be divided. And 50 to 55% of the nervous cells actually, or nervous system, making by neuroglial cells, not by the neurons. Okay. Rest of the lecture is based on the neurons. Rest of the lecture is based on neuron. Neurosecretory cells are mostly found in the hypothalamus, the master of the master gland, and ependymal cells are found in the brain cavities, and these are the ciliated cells. They flow the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. So these are the few things about the neuroglial cells, neurosecretory cell, ependymal cells. Now we will consider about the neuron, nerve fiber and the nerve cell. First of all, we should discuss about the structure of the neuron. As all of you know, neuron has how many parts? Yes, neurons. Okay, my spellings are very weak. Yes, neuron structure. First of all, we should discuss structure. How many parts neuron has? Yes. How many parts? Yes. One is cytone. Cytone also known as, yes, cell body, also known as, yes, soma, and also known as carry on, isn't it? Another is, we can say processes. We can say processes. What should be the spelling? Okay. Processes, isn't it? Processes has, okay, fine. This is the neuronal cell, its cell body, nucleus. We will discuss what are the rest component of the neuron later. Meanwhile, you just consider out of this cytoplasmic composition. Now listen very carefully. There are the, you can say, extension of the cytoplasmic or projections of the cytoplasmic component, and these projections making, actually what does they do? Yes, yes Aruj. What does they do? Why are we increasing this, or why are we protruding these fibers, or we can say these projections out of the cell? Normally you can say every cells you see like this, if this is an animal. Okay, you know, among the vertebrates, the most typical cell is neuron among the vertebrates. And if the MCQs is among the animal kingdom, the most typical cell is, yes, among the kingdom Animalia, the most typical cell is nidocyte. And I hope you don't know about the nidocyte, where the nidocytes are found. Yes, in cnidarians, Hydra, isn't it? Okay, and the most in vertebrates, the most typical cell is neuron. Why? Because these projections are very small projections coming out from the cell body, and of course there is a cytoplasm in this. And a very long projections coming out. This is the neuron. This is neuron. Now, okay. First of all, we should know this is the cell body component. This is the cell body component, and that is nucleus. There is cytoplasm. Write down the components. A very special feature to the neuron is the Nissls granules. Do you hear about the Nissls granules? Just suppose these are the Nissls granules. What are Nissls granules? Actually, these are the rough endoplasmic reticulum with free ribosomes. So what should be the function of the Nissls granule? Yes. What should be the function of the Nissls granule? Protein synthesis. What is? Because they are associated with ribosomes, and even though rough endoplasmic reticulum, they are considered as protein synthesis. We will see later why we need the protein synthesis and what are the major kind of proteins. Okay, you should know the motor proteins. You know motor proteins which you can say locomote the organelles in between the cells. Among them, they